네, 안녕하세요. 오늘 저희 리갈웨어 특별초청 시연회 오셔서 정말 감사드립니다. 예, 시작하기 전에 잠시 리갈웨어 설명을 드리자면서는 저희 NRC USA 우수 상품 중 하나인 퍼마라이프는 여기 세계 최고의 제조 기술을 가지고 있는 저희 미국 리갈웨어에서 제조합니다. 이 리갈웨어는 공장이 저희 미국 중부에 있는 위스콘신에 있고요. 1911년 설립돼서 100년 전통을 이어가고 있는 아주 고도로 숙련된 전문가의 손을 거쳐서 저희 세계 최고의 수준의 제품을 생산하고 있는 제조 회사입니다. 예. 그래서 오늘 이 퍼마라이프 제조사 리갈웨어의 영업이사이신 이 맷 레이걸의 직접 주최하에 시연회를 개최하겠습니다. 예. 와주셔서 감사드리고요. 좀 한번 박수로 시작하겠습니다.
Well, thank you very much. It's a great honor to be here today. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to cook 4 different dishes that are designed to help you communicate the value of Permalife cookware to your customers. And the intention of these recipes aren't that these are necessarily the ones you have to do, because I think you'd be in a better position to take them and make them more relevant to your customers. But the concepts of how to cook using this cookware are the same no matter what dishes you're using. And each of the 4 will demonstrate a little bit different value. But as we're going along, and if anyone has questions, please feel free to ask them. Interrupt me at any time. I'm more than happy to answer them. So let's get started. One of the things that makes Permalife cookware so special is the ability to cook using the low moisture and greaseless cooking methods. And it's a healthier way to cook, and I'll show you how to demonstrate that in front of customers, and you'll be able to see the results very quickly. Because as you know, Permalife is constructed using 9 layers of metal. And so you have on the inside 304 stainless steel, which is a non-reactive metal that is perfect for a cooking surface. And on the outside layer, you have a 430 stainless steel, which is magnetic. What that allows you to do is use it on any cooking surface in the world, including induction, and we'll actually be doing some of the demonstrations on induction here today. Is everyone in the room familiar with induction? Do you all know what it is? Because what it is a magnetic field. There's actually no heat source that generates it, but you need the right piece of cookware to interact with that magnetic field to generate the heat, and Permalife is that right piece of cookware. But going back to the construction, on the inside of Permalife are 7 layers of aluminum. And aluminum is a great metal for transferring heat. It transfers evenly, and it transfers it quickly. And the way that Permalife is built, it transfers it all the way up the side of the cookware. So heat's radiating into the vessel from all sides. And the problem with aluminum, though, is it reacts to things when you cook with it. So you don't want food coming in contact with aluminum while you're cooking. And the problem with stainless steel is it doesn't transmit heat quickly or evenly. So what we've done with Permalife is we've taken the best features of stainless steel and the best features of aluminum and combined them in a way to give you the ultimate cooking machine. So let's start cooking right away to show you one way to show how the heat transfers quickly, and it also retains the heat very well. We're going to start by cooking rice, which is a very simple demo. But what it allows you to do is show a consumer that you can cook anything you can in waterless, greaseless cookware that you can in anything else, but you can cook it faster, and you can cook it in different ways. Now, I've already put a cup of rice into this pan. Now what I'm going to do is just add 2 cups of chicken broth to it, for no other reason than just to give it a little flavor. And look at that, I planned it out real well with yesterday's demonstration. Exactly 2 cups. So we're going to put it on medium heat. And the thing to remember about Permalife cookware is that there's no need to cook on any other temperature but medium or low, because the heat transfers so evenly and so quickly and it retains it. So what you're also doing in the process is you're using less electricity or gas. And another wonderful feature of Permalife cookware is the vapor valve. Then when it's open, when the temperature is correct inside the vessel, you'll hear the whistle. So all you need to do is close the valve, it'll shut off the whistle, and then you can turn your heat down to low at that time, and it'll finish cooking on low heat, meaning that you won't burn the food that's in there, and you're using even less energy to do it. And one of the other, if you want to do a really neat demonstration with rice, please practice this first. the thermal properties of Permalife are so wonderful. They hold the temperature so well. Once this whistles and gets the temperature and you close the valve, you can actually either shut off the heat and put it to the side and it'll finish cooking, or you can actually put it in the refrigerator and it'll finish cooking. But you need to experiment with that a little on your own. So we're going to wait for that whistle to go off, and then in 15 minutes the rice will be done. Now, one of the other great features of Permalife is that you can actually do anything on top of the stove that you can do in the stove. And if you think about it, when you turn on a stove, you've got a big empty space and it's dry. And it takes a lot of energy and it sucks the moisture out of your food. But when you do it on top of the stove, it's a much smaller space and it's a much moister environment. So what we're going to do today is we're actually going to cook a cake right on top of the stove in just 20 minutes. All right, could I get a volunteer to help me with this one? Thank you for volunteering. Uh-oh. Yeah, I have the wrong pineapples.
좀 파인애플 케이크를 잘못 가져오셨네요. 좀
That's never happened to me before. That's a little embarrassing. Okay, no big deal. We can still make it work. So, but what we're going to do is we're going to take a... Wait. This is part of the reason I asked for a volunteer, too. If it doesn't turn out right, I can blame her.
예, 저렇게 사람을 부르는 이유가 뭐가 잘못되면은 이 잘못을 넘기기 위해서입니다. 아주 좀 둥그러니 같은. 네. 네.
But what we're going to do is we're going to just take a white cake mix, and we're going to put in, use the juice from the pineapple, use a couple of the pineapple chunks, then we'll spread the other remaining pineapple chunks plus some cherries on the bottom. But what's nice about this, and then put an egg in there as well. What's nice about this is the directions actually call for 3 eggs. We only have to use 1. And it also calls for oil, and we're not going to add any oil to this cake whatsoever. So we can cook it faster, with less energy, and in a healthier way. Put the egg in there. And the garbage can's right down there by your side. Then I'll start putting the pineapples in here. And by the way, before you got here, I did put a little bit of butter and brown sugar in here on the top of it. That's what you hear sizzling right there. All right, you want to just pour that. Now we're going to use the juice from the pineapple can.
주스를 넣어서 케이크 믹스를 반죽하게 하겠습니다.
And the pineapple chunks from one there too. If you want to mix the pineapple chunks in there. All right, you want to mix that up. And while she's doing that, I'm going to put some cherries in here, and the cherries are just for color. And one of the really nice things about doing this demo is, first of all, you're going to get a great cake that's going to cook in less than 20 minutes. But also, if you burn it, it's almost a better demonstration than if you don't. The reason it's a better demonstration when you burn it is because Permalife is so easy to clean. Because at the end of this, we may have burnt brown sugar on the bottom of the pan, and most of the time it's really hard to clean. But with Permalife, all you need to do is pour water in it and maybe just a little bit of soap and put it on low heat and walk away. And in 10 to 15 minutes, everything will have released from it, and you can clean it out with a paper towel and soap. Do you want to go ahead and pour that in there? Go ahead. This is, again, now I'm not responsible if it doesn't turn out. All right, wonderful, thank you. Now we've got it on a medium heat, so all we're going to do is not knock the knife over. Put it on, open the vapor valve, and when you hear that whistle, turn it down to a low heat, and the cake should be done about 15 minutes after that. And you can do a lot of different cakes or bakery on this. One of my favorite cakes, the one that my kids like the best, is actually chocolate cake mix, applesauce, and cabbage. And it cooks up, and it's really moist, and it's great. Now, another great feature of Permalife cookware is your ability to cook without using moisture, or using low moisture, especially with vegetables. And you have some information there in front of you about what this results in. Because when we boil foods or we steam them, what's happening is we're robbing them of all the nutrients that nature put into them. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually cook 2 different vegetables in the same pot without, they won't transfer any flavors between the 2 of them. We're going to cook carrots and cabbage at the same time. Now easy for me to say. Here, is there anyone who doesn't like cabbage? See, this is much easier when I do this for an Anglo audience because everyone had an Irish mother that ruined cabbage for them. So your mothers apparently knew how to make cabbage the right way. So, but you'll see when we're done cooking this that the colors are much more vibrant than when you steam or when you boil vegetables, and that's because all that natural goodness is still locked away in the food. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a cold pan. I pre-cut up things. I pre-cut up the cabbage, so we'll put half of it with cabbage. And the other half with carrots. Now, with this, you are going to need just a little bit of water to create a moist environment in there. Because what you're doing is you're creating an oven, and as the heat travels through, it needs a little bit of moisture to help it along. Everyone, most people will say use 2 tablespoons. To be honest, I always walk over to the sink and just fill up the corner of the lid, pour it in. That's all it takes. But we're going to do the same thing here we did with the vegetables, or excuse me, with the rice, where we're going to start it on a medium heat. We're going to wait till we hear the vapor valve, which is going off right now with the rice. And when we hear that, we're going to turn it down to low heat for about 10 minutes, and then our vegetables will be done. And the last dish we're going to work on here is an entire meal in one skillet. And this is really demonstrating your ability to cook in Permalife without using any greases or oils. And you can see that it's the right temperature now for the rice. So what I'm going to do is close the lid and then just turn the heat down real low. Yep. And then that'll be done about the time that everything else is done. But on this, we are going to cook chicken and potatoes and broccoli, and we're going to do it all without any grease or oil. And you can do pretty much anything like this, very similar, any kind of protein. I've seen people do it with fish before, and it especially works well with sweet potatoes. So, but this will be the only dish that we make today that we don't need to turn down. We're going to keep it in a medium heat the whole time. So we've preheated it, and does anyone know how to tell if a pan is preheated? Yeah, sprinkle a little water on there, and if it dances around like mercury, it means it's ready. So you want to check that? Now notice that before we started, we didn't spray this with Pam. We didn't put any oils into it whatsoever. So this will be a much healthier way of making it than if you were to add those extra oils. Yeah, there we go. You add those in the middle. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add the 2 chicken breasts right between them. Here again, these aren't marinated or anything because you certainly marinate it and get the same thing. But no oil. That's a good sound. That's a good sound. And with this particular one, for the first half, we're going to cook that for 7 minutes like that, and the natural juices on the chicken. Thank you. The natural juices in the chicken will actually cause it to release by itself. You can see here, I think you can see from back there that this is sputtering. That means it's way too hot, so we can even turn it lower. Matter of fact, I'm just going to turn that whole thing off and let it finish cooking on its own. Should have enough heat in there to finish cooking the rice by itself. All right, so those are the dishes. Again, here we're demonstrating the thermal properties of how the metals work together in order to allow you to cook faster and better. And here we're showing how you can do anything on top of the stove, or anything in the stove on top of the stove, but do it healthier and faster and with less energy. And here we're showing how you can cook vegetables in a healthier way to help preserve the minerals and the nutrients that are in there. And here we are doing, we're showing how you can cook without any oils, without adding the extra fats that our bodies don't need, that other types of cookware force you to add to your food. And when the timer goes off, what we'll do is we'll actually put the broccoli right on top of the chicken after we flip it, and it'll cook the broccoli right alongside of it. So you get the double demonstration of not using any grease or oil, but also how we preserve the nutrients in the nutrients in the vegetables. So, all right. So, what a demonstration we suggest people do when they're doing, just to illustrate a point to customers, when you are in front of them and talking about putting extra fats into foods and cooking with oils. And, you know, a lot of people, that's habit, because that's the way they grew up, that's the way they were taught. So, this is just regular Crisco, and what that is a lava fat. So if I were to go in and put this in the pan and heat it up, what would it do? It turns to a liquid, right? And then it goes into the food. Then it goes into our body. And what does it become again? This is what it becomes.
이렇게 됩니다.
And you really want to be putting that in your body. This one in particular, because I've had this for 10 years, so I can't imagine how disgusting it is at this point. Well, while we're waiting for everything to finish cooking, are there any questions that anyone has? There's no need to do it. I do it on the first half of this recipe because it browns the chicken up for a little. So if you're doing a demonstration, it just makes it look nicer. It cooks the same either way. When I put the broccoli on in a minute, I'll close the lid off. Yes. Yeah, if you're going to sear or brown anything, you don't need the lid on there. Which actually brings up an interesting point. You know, the temptation is if you're going to use ground meat to do it in something like this, if you're doing ground turkey or ground beef or something like that, right? But there is a steamer inset that comes in your sets, and that is not for steaming vegetables. It's for steaming ground meats. And if you steam the ground meat, because when you cook in a vessel like this with ground meat, the fat kind of goes back into the food. But when you steam it in that steamer basket, all the fat runs down into the water. So it makes it a much, much healthier way to prepare ground meats. Any other questions?
다른 질문 있으신가요?
I'm not that good. Someone has to have a question. No one has any other questions? So we have a few minutes left before we can eat. Yes, because the metal handles. The metal handles will not be affected. Now the lid is safe in the oven up to 350 degrees. So as long as you're not going over 350, you can put it in the oven. The handle will be fine in the oven at most any temperature. Okay, we're ready to flip the chicken. But you can see how easily that turned out. There, without any grease or oils, the natural fluids in the chicken just allowed it to pop right out. So now, these are really big chicken breasts, so we're going to give them a little longer than usual. But you can certainly do the same thing with fish or any other protein. And what's great about this, especially for demonstration, is you get to demonstrate all the features of the cookware right in front of a consumer in one vessel. And then you can show them how easy it is to clean up afterwards. Again, there's going to be a little bit of residue on the bottom of the pan. But all you need to do is put some water in there and heat it up for 10 or 15 minutes and wipe it out with a rag, and it'll look good as new. And these vessels are safe for any utensils to be used in that, including metal utensils. But if you use metal utensils, you might scrape the bottom of it. That does not affect the performance of the cookware, and you will not expose the aluminum underneath it. Any other questions? Nothing? Well, we've got about 6 minutes left before the food's ready.
아직 요리가 될 때까지 6분 정도 남아 있으시니까요. 아주 좀 긴 기다림이 될 것 같습니다.
Some other things you can do, though, just to might give you some ideas. Similar to this, you can actually make a lasagna on top of the stove with dry noodles. You don't have to boil them ahead of time. That's a great dish, especially because it's an opportunity to put a lot of fresh vegetables into it and make a very healthy lasagna and put it on the stove medium for 30 minutes. And that's why I know that's one of my kids' favorites, and that's another one that I don't mind when they ask if you make it. It's so easy. When we get to some of the bigger vessels, the 4 quarts, 6 quarts, those are great for making large pieces of meat. For example, if you wanted to make in a 6-quart a big rump roast, put it on low heat and you can walk away almost all day. I did that last Saturday where we took the kids to a pumpkin farm and we put a roast in before we left and left it on low heat, came back 6 hours later and it was just perfect. Another great thing to do in there is whole chickens. And you can buy a whole chicken very inexpensively, and you can very quickly cook it in a 4-quart or a 6-quart, and add a lot of vegetables to it, and they'll all cook together. One of the office favorites actually is to take a whole chicken and then cut up oranges and lemons and put it around there, and then put craisins along with it, and let it all cook together, and you get a citrus flavored chicken as well. Any other questions? We got 4 minutes left here.
4분이 남아 시간이 참 느리게 가고 있습니다. 정말. 네.
Thank you for your time. I think the food will be done in a little while, and we can eat. Once or twice, it's pretty easy. Yeah. But once you learn the concepts, it gets really easy. I mean, if you just, the concepts of cooking proteins without any grease, or using cooking the vegetables waterlessly, it's very simple, really, and you can apply it to any dish. Oh yeah, I just turned the heat off a long time ago.
근데 불은 이미 꺼놔가지고.
It's done.
또 하나의 특징은 조리기구를 냄비 받침을 쓸 수도 있다는 거거든요.
So, yes, the rice is done. Now we're waiting for that pesky chicken. Just got another 2 minutes.
She asked, can you cook the spaghetti noodle in the pan without water?
Yes. Well, okay. Well, it depends. If you're cooking it with other stuff, the answer is yes. But you can still boil a noodle. I mean, that's pretty much the only time that you'd want to use a medium-high heat is if you're cooking, making noodles. Should be just about ready here. You can see the broccoli, how green it is. And the potatoes pop right out of there, again without any grease or oil. Last but not least, the chicken, and look how perfect that turned out. The vegetables should be done as well, and all done without boiling it. It's also a good idea to carry around a little bit of whipped cream if you're going to do this.
Okay, Mr. Regal, can you tell us a little about yourself and the Regalware?
Certainly. My name is Matt Regal. I am the Director of Sales at Regalware Worldwide. I am the 4th generation of Regal to work at Regalware. For over 100 years, Regalware has manufactured some of the finest cooking products in the world, and today we manufacture all our products at our 700,000 square feet facility in West Bend, Wisconsin, where we pride ourselves on not just making the finest cookware in the world, but also in building the finest cookbook for families and giving people an opportunity through a direct selling organization to help or achieve their dreams and live the life that they are looking to live.
Oh, great. So what are the great properties of the NRC USA Permalife cookware?
Permalife is a great product. It's a 9-layered product. So you have stainless steel on the inside and stainless steel on the outside that protect the aluminum on the inside. But the aluminum on the inside allows for the heat to transfer very quickly all the way up the side walls. It can be used on any cooking surface in the world, including induction. And but the greatest property that it has is the ability to give consumers a chance to eat in a healthier way by cooking using the low moisture method and preserving the nutrients in vegetables, the nutrients in their vegetables, as well as being able to not add extra grease and fats when they're cooking to help preserve their health.
Okay. What makes Permalife cookware a perfect match for NRC USA?
With NRC USA's focus on health and wellness, the Permalife cookware line is a natural extension where we're helping consumers every day eat healthier and live better lives. And it's also a great way to build value in a consultant's business as another product and another way to touch a consumer.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much for your time today, Matt.
Thank you. 감사합니다.
Okay.
Is it better or is it getting...
better than first one.